Hello and welcome. Today we are in the new Tier 9 German destroyer, the ZF-6. She is the current dockyard ship, and it's a ship that just doesn't seem to agree with me. I've tried making her work, but for some reason or another it simply just has not worked out well for me. Overall, she seems to be a pretty potentially decent destroyer, but in my hands for some reason it just doesn't seem to ever work out the way I would expect it to. She is effectively a regular-ish destroyer. She can do the things you would expect a destroyer to be able to do. She has decent concealment, 5.8 kilometers. She has torpedoes, which are only 8 kilometer range, but they're torpedoes nonetheless. She has a smokescreen, albeit it's a German one, which means it's worse than regular smokescreens, but it's a smokescreen still. She has a speed boost, she has decent maneuverability, she has HE, she has AP, she has all the things you would expect a DD to have, which means that obviously she is not a bad ship, because she can, well, fulfill the role you expect a destroyer to fulfill. However, her guns are pretty mediocre, potentially even bad. At least when it comes to HE, because they output less DPM than, well, even Japanese destroyers. She does have a reload booster though, which doubles your DPM, and that does make up for quite a lot of it. However, her main strength is the fact that she has amazing AP DPM. She has not only just great AP DPM, as you expect from German destroyers in general, she also has the improved AP penetration angles. Or autobounce angles, I mean. Effectively, you have to angle more against this AP to actually be able to bounce this AP, which is actually pretty cool. And you have very high DPM, we're talking 270k, and reload booster literally doubles it, so you get to these crazy numbers. However, the problem I've run into is that this AP just isn't as useful. It's great in situations like this one, where you're firing at a cruiser that's slightly angled and thinks that they can somehow avoid the damage. No, you can't. You have to angle way more than that, and even then it's a question whether it'll work. So in this kind of situation it's great. Against battleship superstructures, against the cruiser superstructures, it's perfect. My problem is that against another destroyer, it just doesn't seem to do very well. Because from my experience, I simply overpen all the time. Overpen, to the extent where I end up just firing HE instead. And so, when you have DPM that's worse than what the Japanese destroyers have, even though you might have a reload booster, it ends up not being quite as great when you have to fire that HE instead of AP. However, of course you can make up for it a little bit, when you fire at those cruiser or battleship superstructures. But even then, one of the problems is that when you might think of the new German destroyer line, right? Where you fire from really far away, but you can't do that. The shells simply aren't fast enough. And the other point is that the AP penetration is actually quite weak. When you get to these further ranges, the AP penetration drops to, well, basically a slightly angled 32mm armor plate will, the AP shells will be unable to penetrate. And that's a big issue, I think, because it cuts down on the potential damage output of the AP that you're spamming. But I mean, again, that's kind of extra. Ships with F3 torpedoes can sometimes work, something like Yukikaze, although she is a tier higher, but still. You could play F3 Yugumo, for example, and you wouldn't actually be all that different from this ship. In some cases, you'd actually say that the ship is better. So there are some advantages and disadvantages to the ship. It just doesn't seem to have agreed with me very well. Right now I'm trying to hunt this Mahan down, because she seemed to try to want to sneak by and go after our CV, I guess. And obviously I can't let that happen. The other thing is that this is a perfect excuse not to actually go and participate with fighting those Vladivostoks and whatnot. Although this match is pretty good for my ship. There isn't, an abundance of radar, for example. That's something that quite commonly happens, and one of the reasons why I think the ship just doesn't work very well for me. Because when you try to utilize your AP on a broadside cruiser, and they actually have radar, well, you're gonna take a lot of damage in return. Okay, well. See? 2 overpens and 2 regular penetration. Next salvo, 2 overpens. It's just overpens, and this is even at range. Even though the penetration values on this these AP shells is really low. But still, against DDs, it's just overpens and overpens and overpens. So you basically have to switch to HE whenever you get anywhere close to the enemy. Okay, so I'm trying to get closer to the enemy, but she can obviously surprise me, which is why I try to keep my guns roughly where the enemy would be, potentially at least. And so I'm trying to approach at an angle so I don't have to do a turn when I suddenly spot her at like 2 kilometers. So I can just start firing immediately, because in close quarters engagements, every single second matters. Here I also switched to HE because if we're gonna spot one another at this kind of range, AP isn't gonna work. She'll either angle or it'll be overpens. So HE it has to be. I'm surprised I haven't spotted her, but the smoke is dissipating, so once the smoke is gone, we'll see. Oh, there she is! Oh no, 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 no! No, Marhan, please, miss your torps, please, 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 please. Reload booster, obviously. Yeah, I think we avoided the torps. We're on the map border now. It's okay, it's okay, it's okay. No, it's not okay! Oh no, 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 Marhan, no, 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 no. Please don't ram me, please, please, please. Come on, come on! Yes! Yes, sorry, I mean, that was completely expected right there. This was all planned. I knew I was gonna survive that one. Whew. Anyway, back to getting into the fight. Now, she isn't an exceptionally fast destroyer. With the speed flag, she goes up to 36.7 or 36.8 knots. Obviously, there's speed boost on top of that, which gets you, I think, almost close to 40 knots. I was broadside, so I'm gonna fire AP here. This should allow me to do some damage. I had 31k damage done so far. Let's see how much I deal. 1500, 1500, 800, 3k. I mean, if you hit accurately, you'll probably deal quite a lot of damage. But you have to hit the superstructure. 310. I did use reload booster there at the very end, right before the torpedoes from the Parseval hit. So I'm just gonna put some more shells into the water there, just in case. But I did 8k damage to that battleship. I mean, it's not nothing, but it's also not amazing. Now we're gonna sail in a straight line for quite a while, so I sped this up by quite a lot. Because nothing happened here, we just have to get into the B cap. Oh man, the game feels really slow now, wow. Anyways, it's a 6 versus 7 actually. The enemy is ahead, but we hold literally all of the cap zones. And I think this gives us a massive advantage in terms of positioning. The enemy has to attack into us to be able to win this game. Of course, it's possible that they end up just snowballing the game away by simply just picking us off one by one. But we will obviously try to not have that happen to us. I'm gonna try to get closer to that Talon and then open up with my AP on her broadside. She does have a radar, but her radar is short, so I should be able to use my smoke screen. Also, wait, her guns aren't actually pointed over here, and her guns take a while to turn, so I'm just gonna go for it. Reload booster 2. I'm at 39k damage, 3k, 3k, 2k, 3k, 3k. I mean, the damage is just coming in right here. Oh my. We were at 39k, we're at 63k now. Damn. We've done 25k damage here easily to this Talon already. And we're not done yet. I mean, obviously we're gonna not be satisfied until she goes down. And this is actually something that cruisers do have to worry about. If they show broadside to this ship, she will deal a ridiculous amount of damage. 74k damage done. We basically just did, what is that, 36k damage? Well, 35k damage to that Talon. That's most of her HP, just like that. Now I'm gonna stop, use my smokescreen, and just shell this Scharnhorst. Because I can just do that. They have to attack into us. I used my damage control party here, by the way, to fix my broken engine. Hopefully she won't set me on fire. I mean, of course that's unlikely to happen, right? I'm in a smokescreen, and she can't obviously lock onto my ship. And I'm obviously moving in the smokescreen as well, because I know that people like to track you in the smokescreen. And I'm on fire. Wow, somehow she hit and set me on fire, but that's okay, my damage control party is up again in a moment. You know what, I'm gonna use it, I only have 6k HP. Oh my god, and I'm on fire again! How? Wow! What? I just used the damage control party! Not only can the Scharnhorst hit me in the smokescreen, she even gets lucky with the fire chance! Damn! Maybe I should stop firing, I'm down to 4k HP. Yeah, I'm gonna stop firing, I'm gonna just torpedo and chill. My smokescreen does dissipate in 10-12 seconds, but I think the torpedoes will arrive before that. Goodbye, Scharnhorst, and now we'll just go forward. We're at 930 points, we win in 35 seconds. Oh, the implaceables planes are incoming, so I'll be spotted in a bit. I'm basically gonna open up on that Minnesota then. Because I might as well. I only have 3,700 HP. Chances are I'm gonna go down in a moment. And I'll try to get as much damage as I can here. 2,700 HP, shells incoming, and we're fine. We didn't get hit by a single one of them. But the rear turrets still haven't fired, which they will in a moment. CV's dropping again. Wow, we took another 1,000 damage. We're down to 1,700, and we actually survived these shells from the Minnesota. But sadly, the game ended. We definitely would have been able to sink that Minnesota there. Because she had already fired everything, the CV had dropped everything, and it was just... I just needed a little bit more time to sink that battleship, but that's alright. 112k damage, sank 3 ships. Now, you might say, wait Aerroon, what do you mean? You had a game like this and you say the ship doesn't agree with you? Well, this was actually my best game in this ship. Most of my games, they look much worse than this. Like, I'll deal damage, sure. But I don't feel nearly as impactful because I can't ward off enemy destroyers. And I can't get close to battleships to torp them because I'm afraid of the enemy destroyers. And, well, obviously the radars, because I have to get super close to be able to torp. And because of that, I find that the ship just hasn't really worked well for me. Maybe if you spec it for like a range gunboat and just shell AP from afar, it might work well. But I think the shells just kinda end up being slow, and it'll be difficult to hit. But perhaps that's the way to go, I'm not entirely sure. Look at this though, that Scharnhorst did 2,700 damage to me with fires. That's more than 10% of my HP of a destroyer with fires. How often do you see that happen? That's like super rare. Anyways, these are the captain skills that I used. Grease the gears. Then, because the turret traverse is like 18 seconds. Then last stand. Then the AP shell ability. That increases my AP damage by 5%. That's basically 5% more DPM. Survivability expert, concealment expert. Then obviously adrenaline rush, an extra smoke screen, and main battery and AA specialist. Maybe you could swap something like this out for the for what's it called, the range upgrade or range ability, and take some other abilities. Maybe drop the 5% DPM one. These are possibilities, and maybe that's a better way of building the ship. I'm not entirely sure. But overall though, there aren't that many skills that are great for a ship like this, I think. I mean, there are enough, obviously, that you can easily spend 21 points, but I'm not sure whether you have too many options. So I take reload, concealment, and propulsion. Here I take, again, the turret traverse, because the others just don't make as much sense in my opinion. Here I use engine room protection, but if I had a speed upgrade, I'd use that one. And then main arts modification 1, obviously. So, overall, the ship just, I don't know, it just didn't work well for me. But I don't think it's necessarily a bad ship. It has all the things that you would need in a destroyer. It has the concealment to be able to cap and do the things destroyers are supposed to do, and the smokescreen. And everything else is obviously extra on top of that. I'm sure some people will really like the ship, it just didn't work well for me. Maybe I'll try again. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I would like to thank the patrons on Patreon. Thank you very much for your continued support, and I hope I'll see you guys next time.